Well, the Eagles have started to cut down from 90 players on their roster down to 53. Some are not surprising, but there are some shocking cuts already. We'll give you the latest update on that. Also, 2 teams remain reportedly in the Jonathan Taylor sweepstakes, and yes, one is Philadelphia, and Jerry Jones, he was really upset they didn't draft Jalen Hurts. Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Sunday. Off the past couple of days, had my own engagement party, but now we get back to the grind as we get closer to the Eagles cutting down to 53 men. First, though, an update from practice today as training camp officially is over. You only have a couple of practices left before the start of the regular season. Here is the latest injury report. Moro Ojomo, concussion. Mario Goodrich, Britton Covey are all going through stretches with their helmets on. That was earlier today. And Quez Watkins is also back at practice, says Zach Berman. You also see there Greg Ward remains sidelined, and Trey Sermon is also dealing with an injury. And again, this was the first practice where a couple of players had already been let go, and the fact that these players are still on the roster means they have a couple of days, really tomorrow and Tuesday morning, to impress their players and coaches one final time in order to go ahead and make the final roster. Speaking of those roster cuts, here's the master list. You see it up on your screen right now. Let's go through it. Let's talk about some of the big shockers that we've seen so far. Now, the non-shockers are the obvious ones. Quentin Bell, Kennedy Brooks, Robert Cooper, right? You go through Caleb Saunders, Freddie Swain, Marvin Johnson, Roderick Johnson goes to injury reserve, Cameron Tom, Dennis Kelly, Brett Toth, Josh Andrews, Johnny King, Tyrese Williams, and Dan Arnold. However, out of those players that were not mentioned, there are a couple of surprise ones that we need to go ahead and take a look at. The first of which is the tight end Tyree Jackson. He was cut late last night, and this stems from a couple of back-to-back off seasons where a lot of Eagle beat writers were saying he was going to be, a potential star at the tight end spot. He was going to be that number 3 tight end who was slowly going to morph into a former great basketball player, a former great quarterback at Buffalo, into this mega tall, super talented tight end. And yet the problem was injuries last year and just not a lot of performance on the football field this year led him to go ahead and being let go. Now, I expect him, of course, to Tyree Jackson to be signed by somebody else, but the Philadelphia Eagle tight end depth chart is way too strong right now, and they love what they've seen, obviously, from Goddard, but Grant Calcaterra as well, to the point they had to go ahead and let go of Tyree Jackson. It's also Dan Arnold, the tight end who thought we thought might have a couple of opportunities to make this roster. He was let go as well, so the tight end room really took a big hit over the past 2 days. Ian Book, the quarterback, much to no one's surprise and much to the delight of anyone in Philadelphia, he was officially released by the Philadelphia Eagles. He really didn't stand a chance after what we saw in the preseason games, really 1, 2, and 3. Tanner McKee is going to be your number 3 quarterback. Mariota is going to be your number 2. And of course, Jalen Hurts is going to be your starter. Not really a surprise there, but worth noting. Deion Kane being let go is a little bit of a bummer. I think he's always had a chance to make an NFL roster. I think he's played well at times. A little bit injured going into this training camp. A little bit iffy in terms of his play production on the football field, but not a surprise he's let go, but still a significant name who you saw get a lot of snaps with the second-team players and the third-string players during preseason games. He is officially gone. Now, a couple other surprise cuts here. Jaden Hasselwood, the wide receiver, we thought potentially could go ahead and make a little run here during the training camp period. He did not. Kennedy Brooks in that very, very crowded running back room, they've already trimmed that down. There's 5 left for 4 slots. We'll see what they do with that over the next couple of days, really the next couple of hours. And I'll make one more note here. Dennis Kelly signed a little bit late this offseason. He had a chance to make an impact on this offensive line. Failed to do so. He was let go. So all in all, Philadelphia has to get from 90 down to 53. They've cut 20-plus players, and the next couple of days are going to be even more interesting because the real superstar players that we hope are going to make the roster, like in Eli Ricks. When I say superstar, I mean superstar practice squad player, superstar third-string player. We'll find out his destiny tomorrow. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe for that. Now, before we go ahead and get to the Jonathan Taylor trade news, the hats are back. We have black and white, about 20 in each. If you're joining the channel, you don't remember what this is, I had some custom embroidered Philly hats. They're in this incredible 5-point look. I mean, this is all custom made by a local shop here in Atlanta. This is not, whatever the printing services are you can get online. It's the real deal. If you want to pick these up, we're doing 20% off for the fact that training camp is officially over here. Go to the link down below in the description box, phillyhat.com. It's all there, and pick up your hats right now. The black and the white are back, and they look absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and give an update on the Jonathan Taylor trade situation. While a lot of people, including myself, don't think the Eagles are going to trade for him, there is an update, and that is from Dov Kleiman, obviously citing Adam Schefter, saying the Chicago Bears are out. You see it here. They aren't trading for Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, according to Adam Schefter. The Bears won't be trading for Jonathan Taylor. That was on ESPN 1000. So officially, the Bears are out. They were thought to be one of the probably 5 or 6 teams that at least made a phone call, and one of the top 3 for Jonathan Taylor who actually seem interested. Now, with that being the case, you now essentially have 2 remaining teams. Now, this comes obviously from a rumored Twitter account, NFL notifications. You do with this as you will, but this has been seen on a couple of other spots as well. The Colts are, one, not expected to receive a first-round pick in any of the Jonathan Taylor trades due to the size of the contract he's demanding. And two, the Dolphins and Eagles have both offered basically a second-round draft pick and maybe a little bit more. Therefore, it's currently looking like a two-team battle for Taylor. The Colts currently like the Dolphins offer more, but they may choose to send Taylor out of the AFC. And you have a simple scenario here. I'm sure the Dolphins have offered more, but much like they just said in that tweet, the Colts would rather send him to Philadelphia. Think of the connection, Frank Reich, and obviously going over, or not Frank Reich, think of the connection of Shane Steichen, and obviously with the Eagles head coach and their whole situation. It could be a very, very good, I would say, chance that Philadelphia could be a team that could pay less in order to go ahead and get him. That way the Colts get him out of the AFC. You don't have to play him during the regular season, or even worse, have him, run all over you during the NFL postseason. So at least we know Philadelphia is not out of it. Does it mean they've made a legit offer? Does it mean that they're going to go ahead and for sure get him? No, it doesn't. And we try to update you guys that as often as we can, but it's at least worth noting that there's a situation where the Philadelphia Eagles could still be in the running for Jonathan Taylor, and that is very, very interesting to me. Now, if they were going to go ahead and make a trade at some point over the next couple of days, there is an option here that Elliott Shore-Parks mentioned in terms of Trevis Gipson, as he has now, according to Jeremy Fowler, received permission from the Bears to seek a trade. Gipson had 7 sacks in 2021 and could be looking to get back in a 3-4 scheme. And Elliott Shore-Parks, as he ever studious that he is, says that he had 7 sacks with the Sean Desai defense when he was a defensive coordinator in Chicago. And he mentions the Eagles are loaded at the edge spot, but still, it is worth noting that if you wanted to go ahead and get one more outside linebacker, pass rusher in that kind of Nolan Smith hybrid role here, there is a player who has become available late during training camp. And if Howie wants to kind of continue the Howie mantra of making trades during training camp, this could be one final one. Now, does it mean that they're going to? Probably not. They're already loaded. I know. Reddick, Nolan Smith, they obviously have Sweat and BG on the edge. But still, if you wanted to go and make one final move, and it isn't for Jonathan Taylor, this could be a lot more, of course, a lot cheaper and a lot more likely to go ahead and get a guy like Gipson versus making a move for Jonathan Taylor. Now, the funny story of the weekend has to be the Cowboys trading for Trey Lance. I know they got a deal for him, a top 3 pick that you give for a 4th-round draft pick. He gets a fresh start. They let Will Grier go. I mean, it's not the worst move in the entire world, but it doesn't look good for Dak Prescott. Imagine what Cowboy fans will be doing if the Eagles had traded for Trey Lance after we, of course, are in love with Jalen Hurts. It just is weird, especially when they keep verbally committing to Dak Prescott despite not giving him a new contract. What's even more funny is the fact that Jerry Jones, the owner and GM of the Dallas Cowboys, when asked about the decision to trade for Trey Lance, he said that he wishes that Jalen Hurts would have fallen to the Cowboys. Listen.
I think had we been able to draft him with next year's 4, the kind of talent he was in this draft, like I just told you 2 years ago, we were looking at Philadelphia quarterback, I'm not going to call any names, but looking at him. Had he fallen to us there, we would have drafted him. It is our plan when we can, but it very seldom happens to have someone of a high enough quality to be there at the right place with our draft pick. This one worked, and so we're excited about it.
Now, the problem is Jerry's not necessarily remembering things correctly, and he's like 1,000 years old, and so dementia is a real thing. But of course, the Cowboys had the 51st overall draft pick in that draft, and the Eagles take Jalen Hurts at 53. So did he really fall not far enough to get him? No, I think that Jerry Jones might have had a later round grade on Jalen Hurts, not a second round draft grade, and that's what they mean by not falling far enough to us. But they did have the potential and the ability to go ahead and get Jalen Hurts, and yet now they're saying they wish they would have, but we'll get Trey Lance instead. Now, is Trey Lance going to make a difference with the Dallas Cowboys this year? Probably not. But if Dak Prescott were to get hurt, there's some insurance there. Or if Dak Prescott were to stink, like a lot of Eagle fans think that he does on a regular basis, maybe you could revitalize him, revitalize the career of the young Trey Lance by making a move for him. Never got a fair shake with the 49ers, but still, they made the move, and that is at least interesting to go ahead and know. Okay, plenty more stuff happening in the next couple of days and weeks. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe for the latest Eagles roster cut updates happening probably tomorrow and a little bit on Tuesday as well. We're going to give you guys full coverage on that. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe. You're not going to want to go ahead and miss out. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.